I know this happens all the time. Most of the time it's running into your garage door, but they make breakaway mirrors for a reason. Sometimes they just break. It's pretty obvious in our situation we're going to need a whole mirror assembly, but sometimes it's not quite as obvious whether you just need a glass or a new assembly. Either way, we can order ours at 1aauto.com. So let's go over some of the reasons why you might just need a glass or the assembly. No matter how small the crack is, even something like this where it doesn't seem like it affects you, you need to replace at least the glass. You may have no other damage. In that case, you could just replace the glass as long as the window motor is working properly and all the other electronics. I know it may seem obvious that we just need glass for this mirror assembly. You don't need a whole assembly, but there's some things you want to check out before ordering just the glass. In general, when you replace just the glass, it's going to be cheaper. One of the things you want to check is whether the motors are working properly. So go in the driver's seat and adjust the motors, go up, down, left and right, make sure they're all working properly. And if there's any types of blinkers in the mirror assembly, you want to test those blinkers. If the vehicle has automatic folding mirrors, you want to make sure those are working properly as well. Very carefully, maybe put some gloves on and just check the mirror itself, see if it is extremely loose. If there's something loose in there, there may be internal damage to the whole assembly, and just putting a mirror on, you may not be able to snap the mirror in place. Looking at the mirror itself, you can see where the mirror has faded and aged, and if you twist this to the side, you can actually see a lot of corrosion in where the pivot is for the mirror assembly. Now, if you replace just the glass, over time, this mirror is going to break off anyway, so you're better off replacing the whole assembly. All right, let's replace this glass. The safest way to do this, just take some masking tape, tape this up before, make sure you have gloves on. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, for most of these mirrors are very similar. You're going to need a pick and just get in behind and just lift up on some of the clips underneath the mirror. I can show you a little better once it's out, or even a small screwdriver. Some you actually need to get underneath the glass and then slide it up. The best way to tell is take a look at the new glass that you got. Some of them have some wires that you're going to have to disconnect, and take a look at those and make sure those are okay. While this is out, you want to clean this out a little bit. Just take a paper towel, wipe it down, take a look at this assembly, make sure everything is secure, nothing's loose. If there's motors in there, make sure those look good. Everything looks good here. And you can see in the back of the mirror, what I'm basically doing with the pick is getting under this little tab right here and this little tab, and then sliding in between and then just prying up on the glass. And that pops the old glass out. Here we have the new mirror. We got this from 1aauto.com. You can check the back tabs. Those look the same as the old one. Now we can line that up with the housing. You want to make sure that this piece right here is pretty flat. If you have a vehicle that has electric mirrors, you want to manipulate that with the switch itself. Otherwise, just move it with your hand and just line this up. And you want to push just on the center. You don't want to push on the edges. We'll just give it a click. Lock it in. It might be a little bit scary. That might be one reason to replace the whole assembly if you're scared to break the glass. It is a little bit easier just to replace the whole assembly. It does take a little bit of skill, but it's not hard. It's very easy. Just push that on, that's good. If your mirror has been in an impact and you just notice some scratches, some paint scuffs, you don't see anything major, there's no cracks in it. It moves back and forth nice and fine. And even the mirror itself doesn't look like it's cracked at all, and it's not too shaky or anything. You should be all set. You might not have to replace anything. That's why they make these mirrors break away like this. And there will be instances where it seems like it's pretty obvious. If you have something that's cracked like this, you don't want to leave this on there. There's going to be sharp edges. Someone can get hurt just brushing by it or something like that. You can check the swivel, and obviously if it pops off like that, it's got to be replaced. You can see where the corrosion is on this one. This is what I was talking about with the other one. Whereas if it gets hit just a little bit, it's going to pop off. There should be a retainer ring and a spring on there. And over time, that's just going to break. So you're better off just replacing the whole assembly. For this one, we're going to replace the whole assembly. We're going to have to take the door panel off. On most vehicles, you have to access the mirrors by taking the door panels off because you have to access the wiring. So door panels come apart pretty easily. There should be some trim pieces that you take off to access some screws or bolts. And there's trim clips all around the perimeter of the door panel. And pull that off. It is pretty rare, but some vehicles you can just pull off the cover that covers where the mirror is bolted on, and there's a plug right into the mirror. But that's not every vehicle. For most of the times, you have to take the whole door panel off just to get to the wiring connector, which is down here somewhere. This vehicle does not have electric mirrors, so there's no wire. All I have is the 3 nuts holding this on. Just take those off real quick. When I go to get the last nut, I'm just going to support the mirror. Not that it can break any more than it is, but that's okay. It's a little clip right there. And just slide that off. And here's the new mirror assembly we got from oneauto.com. Just slide that back in position. Get the nuts started. Once you get one nut started, you can let go of the mirror assembly. And snug the nuts down, not too tight. If you had a plug, you're going to plug that in right now, and then you just put the door panel on. It's extremely simple. Less likely of a chance of breaking the mirror if you replace the whole assembly. It's a little bit easier, a little more time consuming, but it's easy. Now you know what to look for, whether you want to replace the mirror assembly, have a little bit of an easier time, or save a little money and replace just the glass. You can get these both at oneauto.com, and you click the link in the description. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to our channel, ring the bell, turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. It's really not that easy to hit something. I know this happens all the time when you're trying to back out of your garage door. That was close.
Sometimes they just break.